Wow. Thank you so much, Steve, for a very generous introduction. What I'm going to deal with very rapidly, analytics are so advanced that you aren't dummies, but I just can't do what I have to do in 30 minutes. So what I've done is I figured I'd give you an overview of analytics, starting with Google Analytics. I make my presentation available to you with links to a more thorough and comprehensive discussion. The internet is all about real estate. It's all about where do those eyeballs find home base. I don't know if you saw on my first slide, it says, inspect what you expect. If you didn't have a plan, you didn't have a goal, you didn't have numbers that you could achieve and then track to see if you did or did not get it, you're going to fail. I was talking to one of our certified AdWords specialists, and I recorded the conversation because I think it sums up really where this industry, this specialty is going.
The landscape of Google, it used to be 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, that there were lots of organic listings. But anyone who looks at Google right now and looks at Google with their smartphone will see that ads are the predominant position in Google.com.
Right.
And the organic stuff that shows is usually the Google local page. So, for people to say, well, I'm just going to beef up organic, I have to tell you, even if you have an organic program, you're always going to have some presence in AdWords simply because you have to play it Google's way. And the playing field is, pretty competitive. But you know what? That's where businesses are. Their competitors are there. So if they say, well, I don't want to do that, well, guess what? Their competitor is doing that.
Right.
And what they end up doing is simply losing more and more market share. So for a business that wants to thrive, a business that wants to grow, they've got to be in AdWords. That's just the end of the story. It's the new business landscape.
So mobile patient choice is where we want to focus our attention on. Now, if we are ready to inspect, patients have choices now that they didn't have before. While they're in your office in a consultation, they're actually looking at some of the competitors, looking at your before and after photography. So mobile patient choice is where we want to focus our attention on. Now, if we are ready to inspect what we expect, we have key analytic information coming from not only from Google Analytics, but coming from other very important sources. Google My Business Analytics, which by the way incorporates a lot of the information that you're going to see on the rest of these analytic panels. Not all of them, but most of them. We've got Google AdWords Analytics, which is incorporated in Google My Business. We have Email Response Analytics, which is not necessarily incorporated, but it's something that we include in our consultation services. You've got Phone Tracking Analytics, which is available through several choices of tracking phone calls, monitoring them, making sure that the most important thing happens, that you're closing transactions. Because if you're not closing transactions, you're failing no matter how many more patient visits you're seeing in consultations. Search Position Analytics and Review Site Analytics. We're going to spend time talking about that. As I said, we want to be in a position where we have predetermined what to expect. We have a plan. We have a strategy. We know what we want to do quantitatively so that when we're using this analytic information, we know that we've either achieved the goal, we've exceeded the goal, we need to improve on that goal that we've set. Google Analytics is a fascinating and important area. And as I've said, there are no dummies because this is a very, very large program of information that is tracked from a code that's put on every page on your website. Let's kind of walk through what Google Analytics provides. Now, this is the master menu on the Google Analytics platform. And you're seeing almost 40 different options. And by the way, those 40 different options can be customized. I just kind of outline a couple of the key programs that we always want to look at. All pages, which gives us information about all the pages on a performance basis against 7 vital signs. An overview page, an all traffic page, and an audience page. Well, let's look at some of these vital signs that I call them. And I think you'll see them as vital signs, just like a body has vital signs and tells us if it's functioning properly. There's a number of sessions, and you'll see that's green. That's what it's showing you. You're seeing a comparison of the blue line and the brown line. The blue line is current, and the brown line is the same period being examined previously in the previous year. The green, the 20 green, tells us that it's a positive trend going on. The brown, where you look, see the bounce rate, is saying what could be a negative situation going on. We'll talk about that in a minute. Sessions are the number of times someone visits your sites. User is a unique user. A user can visit your site twice, and that's counted as 2 visits. So that's what that's about. So we see a positive trend going on there. Pages viewed are the total number of pages aggregated for this period of time. You've had a 31% increase, positive. Now we go down to pages per session. So we divide the unique visitors into the gross number of sessions, and we get an average of an 8% increase in visit activity. That's good. That is, more people are looking at your content. That's called stickiness. Average session duration. That means that the people are spending more time. There's an increase, an uptick there. And then we have bounce rate. Now, what is bounce rate? Bounce rate is a phenomenon that takes place when someone comes to your website, looks at a page, and leaves immediately. Basically just walks away from it. Now, that can happen for many reasons. It could happen because what you are presenting is not very impressive. Or it could happen because you're running an AdWords campaign, PPC. They've got the information they wanted, and they're ready. They're going to make a phone call or send you an email. Now, Google Analytics doesn't give you this information, but some of the other analytics I'll talk about will give you information that they did make a phone call and they did send you an email. Now, it's negative, but that could be good. So what it's saying is that the bounce rate has increased. That is, there's more people leaving rapidly than would normally happen. And then you have the number of new sessions. And the number of new sessions basically tells you that, well, although your session traffic is increasing and unique visitors are increasing, the number of new people coming to your site that have never come to your site is decreasing. Now, with all of this information, we, as your internet service providers, want to be accountable. We want to be able to say to you that we are doing our job. So therefore, what we do is on a quarterly basis, we provide our clients with a report, a performance report, a report card. And that last report you saw was really an annual report that's prepared. Now, organic search is where it's at. And it's the least expensive marketing tool you have. But what's happening is Google is giving us, as your search engine optimization web developing team, less information intentionally. And as Nancy pointed out, there's a smaller screen. So what used to be very accessible if you were on the first page of one of the 10 pages, that is a phenomena that has changed. And we're not, even being on the first page doesn't get you past all those AdWords or high-ranking view sites or the maps. So what we do is we give you a report that tells you exactly where you stand based on a search and based on your location. So as an example, you notice on the left-hand side, you see Google, Yahoo, Bing. Well, those are all the major search engines, and really the ones you want to really watch are going to be Google and Bing. So we give you an exact page that you show up on, which is that center column right there, and then we tell you the position on that page. And then on the right side, you see hyperlinks, so you can actually click on that and confirm that that's what you are actually positioned at. Now, my business analytics, which is embedded in Google+, and this whole process that Google is going through with regard to analytics is changing very rapidly, gives you some additional information that you don't have with Google Analytics. You can actually monitor the number of phone calls that are coming into your practice on a daily basis. It tells you exactly how many times a mobile phone is used to call your practice. Now remember, mobile phones are now dominating. A typical practice has 65 to 75% of all calls coming into the practice are coming from a mobile phone. Mobile phone usage is just that high right now. Mobile phone has replaced desktop. And as I mentioned, the Google Analytics system, the original Google Analytics system was set up more for a desktop phenomenon. So if you're moving, and we are moving into a mobile environment, you need to have a lot more information. Google My Business tells you information like how many times your map's been used, how many times people have used your photos as a device to make a decision. So you got a lot of additional information that you didn't have before with this appendage. What consumers view, where they view you is also provided in Google My Business. Did they find you through a general search, or did they find a listing on the maps? This is information that you never had with Google Analytics. How consumers search for your business, there's a lot of vital information available. Now, clearly, it's important to have a strategy. It's important to have a plan. It's important to know what you're looking for and what choices you want to make in terms of what to promote. Specials, a service, something new, and if so, where and how do you promote it? Now, it's all about real estate, and it's all about how much gets displayed on that very small screen. And if it is displayed on a very small screen and they find you, are they also looking at the bigger screen on the desktop? We want you to begin to think about mobile first, because that's where it's at. We want you to understand that you want to take every opportunity you possibly can take to maximize your organic search positions and results. We want you to understand that patients have a choice, and having a choice, you want to be able to anticipate their wants, their needs, and their expectations in your copy that you have, your text on your website. And then most importantly, because if we want you to inspect what you're expecting, result tracking is going to be paramount. So let's walk through some of the alternatives for promoting your practice that need to be looked at more carefully. Now, this is a little collage talking about all the folks that provide some form of AdWord or PPC. AdWords is kind of like Kleenex that applies to everything it does, wipes your nose. So Yahoo has AdWords or PPC, pay-per-click. Bing has it. Here's the deal. As you're going to see in one of the very important videos that I've included in my presentations, links that you will get, just because you're ready to spend the money on AdWords doesn't mean that you're going to have results immediately from AdWords. Google's looking for people to join the AdWords club, and they do a real good job of determining, have you been there? How long have you been there? And most importantly, does the promotion that you create for AdWords works? In fact, you can actually buy clicks or AdWords results less expensively if you designed your AdWords campaign correctly than if you have a poor ad that doesn't perform and people don't use. We'll talk about that in that video that you're going to begin to see. I'm recommending that all of you right now earmark $2,000 to $4,000 that you're going to spend monthly, and you're going to get your money back. By the way, you get it back by at least a factor of 2, maybe 3, maybe 4. And by the way, if you put that $2,000 in the bank, you probably get at best a couple of percentage points at best. So to be able to multiply your money that quickly is very, very important. But the important thing about AdWords is AdWords can cannibalize your organic results. So you have to have a strategy, and your specialist that you're working with, that's us, has to understand the consequences of how AdWords are used and how organic's used. Because, as I said, if you're becoming your own competition, you're actually moving backwards. If you're using AdWords, there's a very sophisticated system of reporting that comes with the AdWord opportunity. And as you can see here, there's a lot of information about conversion rate, interaction, default maximization. There's, are you eligible, aren't you eligible? It's kind of really confusing. And by the way, for every tab you click here, there's another array. So what we do for our clients is we give them a synoptic look of how their ads are performing in the specialties that we're advertising, vein therapy, cool sculpting, body contouring. We tell them how many clicks they're getting during that period, impressions, which means the number of times an ad is seen, click-through rates, average, and most importantly, provide you with recommendations in terms of what are we going to be doing next for the following month. And this is a monthly report. that all of our clients that do AdWords gets. It's all about real estate now. Keep that in mind. Now, one of the factors that allows people to visit more of your real estate is e-communications, or what is called Eblast. Eblasts are very, very important, and most of you are doing it incorrectly. That is to say that you are sending the same information to the entire population of people in your email list at the same time. What you're doing is you're destroying the most valuable asset your practice has, and that is permission to visit the homes and computers of the people that have given you consent to send them information. As I'm saying now, that's 50% of all the leads you're going to get can come from Eblast. And Eblast can have a very important impact on your search engine results, because Google is saying, in effect, we're going to send traffic to sites that are popular, that are getting a lot of traffic. And that traffic could be coming from something that you're doing to stimulate the traffic to come visit your site, by the way. That's called direct traffic. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at the email opportunity a lot differently. So what we do is we do an analysis. We have analytics for emails, and that tells us what's going on with regard to Eblasts. Now here's a client. They're sending people information based on their language, sending people based on their gender, sending people based on how they got to you, meaning that they come from a Eblast that you sent previously, they come from somebody referred them to you. So what we're doing is we're looking at Eblasts on a monthly basis based on what's really happening. Now, this is the size of the number of emails in the list that it was sent to. This is your open rate. This is your open on a desktop, open on a mobile. This is your bounce rate. Talk about bounce a little differently here, but about bounce rate. Unsubscribe people that decide they want to check out of your list. But there's some things here that are kind of important. 20% open. Now that's just on the cusp, just on the start of where we can call this a good result. Anything less than 20-25% is not a good result from an Eblast. So what we're looking at here is an open rate that will give us an aggregated result of approximately 20%. So what we have here is notice here that the desktop open rate is 24%, but the mobile open rate is 76%. The bounce rate is about 300, 283. Well, you say, well, that's kind of bad. Well, actually not. Look at there. We've got a 5% bounce rate. There's 4,000 pieces of email that went out, and we've got about 5% of them that, for a variety of reasons, bounced. And that could be because you sent a blast out that really wasn't effective, or they've moved, or they've changed their email address. So that's what we call a bounce rate. So there's analytics now for emails, which you want to keep in mind. As I've mentioned, it really doesn't happen until that phone call is made or that email comes in. But that phone call will usually result from an email. But now with mobile, they're passing on emails and texting, and they're sending you information through their voice on the phone. So who's answering that phone is really critical. You can do all you want to make more people call you, but if you can't convert those into people that want to use your services, you lost. So we've got tracking systems now and analytics, by the way, for phone calls coming into your office. Now notice in this particular report here, but we know their phone number, we know the locality they call from, we have information, have demographic information about them, we even have information that is recorded in terms of the person that handled the phone call. So if you notice that in your analytics that your conversion rate is falling, maybe the first place you want to go is look at what's going on with the conversion of who's handling the phone calls that are coming in. You'll find your stars, and you'll find the people that are dropping the balls. So there's a lot of information here that gives us an ability to inspect what we expect. Now here's a brand new area. Brand new meaning the internet's been around now for 21 years. Who would have thought that reviews could make a huge difference in your performance? It's a fact that it can. And I'm going to walk you through something that's kind of powerful. We have a system that will find every review that has been done on your practice. It will rate those reviews as a 1 or a 5. It will aggregate your 4 and 5 star reviews, and put them all in one place that can be aggregated and put on a microsites that appear in search results. You say, well, what's the big deal? Well, think about it. Yelp, Help Grades, Real Self, they are your competition on that small screen. And what you want to do is you want to have microsites that also, because of the number of accumulated reviews, competing with those people and actually ranking with those people on the first page. The system, once it finds all of those reviews, sorts them down by priority in terms of how big they are and important they are. It also, from that point on, will take any review that's done on the internet, find it immediately, post it to your website in a special place that's not public, so that you can review them as being good or bad. Now, what you see down here, right here, and this is kind of a calendar of events on a daily basis. These are 5-star reviews. These are at this level of 4-star reviews. These are 3 and so forth. So you actually are able to go in, examine, sort, and most importantly, post those 4 and 5-star reviews in a very proud way on your website. And I'm going to show you an example of what happens when we do that. What we want from reviews that is genuine and important reviews that can be validated and can be actually clicked on and go right back to the source of Google, Yelp, and our Health Grades. We want to be able to boost our SEO results. We want to be able to improve our Google map ranking, and Google Plus reviews do just that. We want to power endorse our web content. We want to make AdWords advertising work better, and by having reviews as an attachment or a supporting information piece on your website, on your AdWords advertising, on the maps, you've done something that makes a huge difference. Now here's a client that joined us, our service, about 5 months ago, and look what's happening here. This is actually their website. At the bottom of the website, you'll see their 292 reviews have been now accumulated. We're going to conduct a client search by name for a Dr. Rebecca Vax. As you can see, she's got several Google Plus reviews, and this affects her status on the Google Maps. But if we go further down and we look at some of the other reviews, we see that they're rather modest numbers, 8, 4. Let's kind of inspect what's happening in Yelp. We open it up and we see she has 8 reviews. Yelp, that's very good. But she happens to have several dozens of other reviews that have been hidden by Yelp. But even worse, there's actually promotion of some of her competitors going on her page. So her real estate becomes an option for other doctors they commandeer. Let's go back to the search window here. And we see that we can also find her on ZocDoc. Let's go a little further and examine that she's doing her part in terms of creating reviews. As we examine it, we see she's got 211 reviews. But here's the difference. When you click on this particular link, you get to see all of her reviews, all of her 4 and 5-star reviews, all listed there. And we have a page here that we'll be designing and putting some stickiness to it. It's important to understand, in that example that I shown you, you can actually send a request for a review or report card from a patient in terms of their experience in your office. And when that invitation goes out, if you elect, you can send it out either as a text message or as an email. And when the person then gets the message and chooses to respond, they can give you an evaluation of their encounter with your office. And at the end of that evaluation, they're asked how they would rank their experience on a scale of 1 to 5, or 1 star to 5 stars. Now, once that ranking is done, if it's a 4 or 5-star ranking, it automatically is posted to your aggregated list of reviews that are posted immediately on your website and are distributed automatically to Google, to Facebook, and to your website, and also Twitter. The ones that aren't 4 to 5-star reviews are parked in a location that you can go and examine them. Maybe spot a problem before it becomes viral. Maybe, in fact, qualified as being worthy of being in your 5-star reviews because such wonderful things are saying, but this was a tough kind of score. So we've got a brand new tool, a brand new opportunity, a brand new area, and an ability to manage and also inspect what we expected. So in summary, we have a lot of more data to work with regard to analytics. Google is only the start. Google My Business is a more important extension because it puts a lot of the analytics that Google provides all in one spot. We have email response analytics. We have tracking analytics for phone calls. We have position search analytics. And now we have review site analytics. I did mention that my presentation was going to move rapidly. If you send me an email or a text message, I'll send you some important links that will explain our review service, but more importantly, talk to some experts. So let's take a look at at least one of them, and this is going to be from a Google executive. So let's see what he has to say.
Hi, I'm Hal Varian. I'm the Chief Economist here at Google. Google uses an auction system to rank the ads that appear in the search results page and to determine the cost for each ad click. In this talk, I'll take you through a general overview of how the ad auction works. First and foremost, Google users want ads they see to be relevant. They don't want to be bothered with ads that aren't closely related to what they're searching for. And advertisers want to show relevant ads so users will actually click on them. Meantime, Google wants to provide a good experience for users and a good value to advertisers so they come back and use their services again in the future. Now, I'd like to walk you through what a traditional auction looks like. Say we have 4 advertisers competing for space on the search results page, and each has indicated a different amount they're willing to pay for a user to click their ad and visit their website. $4, $3, $2, and $1. I'll refer to these